placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. Go and listen to the noise and haste, even the dull, and remember what peace there may be. They too have their story. Avoid as far as possible without surrender. They are beyond good terms with all persons. If you speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, beyond a wholesome discipline. Be gentle with yourself.
You are a child.
You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here.
And
whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees.
If you want to convince a group of people that everything about them is negative, what you have to do is tell them where they're from is a negative place. And this is what they've done to black people. They say, black people, you're negative, you're bad, because Africa is negative and Africa is bad. So the images that we have of Africa, we always see the underbelly. We always see the propaganda. We always see the warfare, but they never show the other side.
One of the things that I've discovered about conquered people is that most conquered people have had their ancestral memory erased. and they only know what missionaries or enslavers have taught them. And usually it's negative.
There is good, there is bad, there is advancement, and there is a lack of advancement in all cultures. The problem is that this society tends to want to show you the extended belly of a baby in Ethiopia. It wants to show you the negativity of Africa.
People think Africa and Asia and Guatemala, Southern America, these places were all jungle. Jungle came after the invasions of European colonialism. Then the jungles came in because nobody was manning the land anymore.
Look at the map. Just this map tells you alone that the great majority of Africa is grassland. It shows you right here. It's grassland, no jungle. In fact, the Everglades, by proportion, there's more jungle in the Everglades than there is proportionately in Africa, and that's in Florida.
There's more jungle in Europe and in Asia than there is in Africa. Without a doubt, Africa has its wetlands, it has its greenery, some of the most beautiful animal kingdoms in the world. But most of Africa is not jungle. There's more jungle on the other continents than there is in Africa. In fact, you have vast greenlands in Africa, miles, tens of thousands of miles of nothing but flat, beautiful green land.
Whenever they show images of Africa, they like to show the hunter-gatherers, the bushmen, the brothers running around half naked with sticks. And that really represents about 1% of the whole population of Africa. As a matter of fact, you have those same hunter-gatherer people up in Europe. There's a group of people called the Sami people who live just like that, who live in mud huts, and they live that hunter-gatherer experience. But you never see any kind of mention of them in the media. You only see the African bushmen, but you never see the rest of the whole continent and see how people are really living over there. Whenever you look at old Tarzan movies, old cartoons from back in the 1920s and 30s, they would always show the cannibalistic African person dancing around in the jungle with a big pot, putting in missionaries, cooking them and eating them. And that's a major myth about Africa because there's no evidence of any kind of cannibalism going on in Africa.
There is no evidence of cannibalism in Africa. In fact, if you read a book called Man-Eater, there's more references to Europeans eating each other in the cold than there is Africans eating each other in the warmth. Why are you going to have a need to eat each other when the Creator and the Son has given you mango and peanuts and food to eat that comes to you plentifully? There's no evidence of it, but again, to denigrate Africa and Africans, they have to create an image that people...
There's so many fallacies about African people and African history and culture. And cannibalism is one example. You know, based on my study, I found more evidence of cannibalism practiced among Europeans in Virginia in the 1600s. There are documented cases of the first settlers coming to Virginia from England, coming here in fall and in the dead of winter and not having enough supplies to see them through that season. So there's documented instances of people exhuming the bodies of the dead and eating them. There's one particular instance, I forget the gentleman's name, but actually I read this in a National Geographic magazine about a man whose wife died and he kept her death a secret so that he could eat her corpse and survive the winter.
You know, it's weeks like this when you do have to ask, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on, Ferguson, Missouri? You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's going on in America and has been going on for a long time is, this country, one of our original sins has been racism and slavery, and we still haven't figured out how to solve that problem. Slavery, was around for 400 years, and then we went into a period of Jim Crow. which was basically an extension of that. And in many ways, the legal system, the criminal justice system, has found ways to perpetuate Jim Crow. There's a book by Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crow, which talks about the criminal justice system and how it's basically, in so many ways, crushed black and brown communities for a long time. And it's been a pretty straight continuum from slavery through now to where black and brown people are just treated differently in this country, particularly when it comes to criminal justice, particularly when it comes to incarceration and the war on drugs. And add to that the fact that we've given our police these military-style weapons, and it's a mess. It's a mess. But this is not new. These military-style weapons are only exacerbating it. But this was happening with Bull Connor, in the 60s. So it's happening with lynchings well before the 60s, where, there were all kinds of extra legal ways for black folks to get killed and for black bodies to not be valued in this country. And that hasn't really changed enough. And so we see things like unarmed black men getting shot on a regular basis. It's like every 28 hours I saw the statistic that there's some cop or vigilante that kills an unarmed black man. And so when that's happening, it just shows you that we still have a long way to go. And, we can do better. And hopefully we will.
Yeah.